Hi everyone, Sunstrider here, and today we are going to talk about Wuthering Waves and the impact it brings to the Genshin community. For those of you who have never heard about this game, basically it's an action role-playing game based on the videos that you've watched, mostly identified as similar to Genshin Impact. Now, this isn't something new because on December 16, 2021, Tower of Fantasy released and the community was excited to welcome this new game as somehow players dubbed this as a Genshin killer. The number one reason people were calling Tower of Fantasy that, thanks to its free-to-play friendly gacha system. Unlike Genshin Impact's gacha system, Tower of Fantasy gacha system allows players to accumulate their pool, and once they reach 120 pools, players are guaranteed a certain banner. I personally played Tower of Fantasy back then and even spent some money on their banners, and happy to say, this gacha system doesn't suck. As promising as it was, Tower of Fantasy failed to address some things that, to me, are key aspects in order to topple Genshin Impact out of the number one position in the category, going back to Wuthering Waves. As from what we can see, this game will bring a fast-paced combat system in a seemingly post-apocalyptic world. 24 seconds into the game, I quickly realized how Genshin Impact has strongly influenced the new upcoming RPG title. For Wuthering Waves, this can be seen from this very world mechanics where players are required to travel to certain destinations and be rewarded. Looks familiar, right? I'm starting to get worried that this game might not provide something new because there's resources collecting in similar fashion to Genshin Impact, and then I saw the character switching tools in one single tap. Well, at first glance, this is not something new, but if you think about it, these grapple tools can be done without specific characters or triggering something. On top of that, later in the exclusive gameplay, you'll see how breaking certain obstacles in the game can be done quickly as well, without the need of changing into specific units with certain elements. Now, of course, this is an exclusive gameplay from the publisher and there might be certain change that's going to happen on its official release. But as a player who has to change team compositions or units in Genshin Impact to do certain things in exploration or puzzle related stuffs, Wuthering Waves might bring back a sense of simplicity and focus on the what matters most. The fun part. When I say this, obviously I'm aware of the fact that Genshin Impact's key is in their elemental reaction, and that's why most of their mechanics and gameplay revolves around this very concept. As of now, I couldn't find any information on this game whether or not they will have elemental based mechanic or weakness, but considering there's color damage indicator and by zooming on this icon next to the character health bar, I think we can assume that there's something prepared from the developer for players to play around their team composition. One key thing from the exclusive gameplay that I think will serve as a huge difference between Wuthering Waves from the two games with the same genre is the echo system. Initially, I thought echo is something related to certain units with summoning ability. It turned out every character has the ability to set their own echo and utilize them in the fight. From the video, we can see each character in our team can use echo in their fight. On top of that, players seem to be able to showcase their echoes, and I think based on this information, we all can assume where this feature is going. Talking about combat, as a Genshin Impact player, I'm used to seeing fast-paced DPS in action as well as how we can melt an enemy or boss by taking advantage of the meta elemental reaction, and that's fun to try and experiment. However, since I've played Tower of Fantasy previously and after seeing this character's combat, I kind of crave this one. If you have played Devil May Cry, you know where my feedback is coming from, but in case you haven't, try to see Devil May Cry as a fast-paced action adventure game where the attack animation has always been a feast to the eye and unique combos that give different attack patterns. While the attack pattern combo is not confirmed from the exclusive gameplay, the way I see it, Wuthering Waves is trying to accommodate players who enjoy fast-paced combat with its echo and mid-fight character switching. I simply might be complaining after playing Genshin Impact for quite some time and experiencing their elemental reaction mechanics that sometimes clearing some content feels easy enough that it's not challenging anymore. Other small details that might add to your list is the evasive trigger.
You what?
I'm unsure how to name this, but if we take a look at this footage, we can assume that there's this evasive mechanic that might provide an extra damage, or might be something that elevates the combat experience with its evasion mechanic where we could fight like Neo in the Matrix. To me, Wuthering Waves does have the potential to become the best in their own game. I mean, Genshin Impact has been dominating the action RPG genre, and I think it's about time for new titles to rise and compete and diversify the title. Take a look at Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. Same genre, but with their own twist and creativity. I think why most people are skeptical of newly released games and calling the game copying mechanics is because Genshin Impact has raised the bar super high to the point where developers are worried that creating something new might lose the interest of new players. Some of the examples that I can think of is the locked treasure chest in Tower of Fantasy that needs a key but also can be deciphered in a few seconds. I understand that the developer wanted something new that related to the game. However, since the community has been strongly influenced by how easy it is to open a chest in Genshin Impact, that's a bad example of a new idea and genre that's been dominated by one game. From the other perspective, having a single game dominating a specific genre for some time also serves as an advantage for new titles. How? Well, simply by observing and gathering feedback on the specific game that everyone's been playing, and considering nobody's perfect, the game must have features or mechanics that community has been dying to get rid of. You know, more like you don't have to reinvent the wheel type of stuff, and what the Wuthering Waves have shown us in its 11 minutes exclusive gameplay is something great and promising in their pace with their own take on action RPG. Well, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Wuthering Waves will be able to bring fresh new content for veteran players and new ones who would like to get the taste of action RPGs? Comment below, let's discuss.